It's me, Douglas, back yet again. After I finished making episode 10, in which I created this environment with 2 planets and the galaxy behind, I started crawling deeper into the 3D aspects of Title Studio, and a couple of things happened. The first was a problem. The problem was that this 3D environment was starting to use more power from my computer than I had realized it would. So, when I added a 3D object to the scene, the computer started having some serious power problems, which led me to think, well, of course, this is a titling application. I shouldn't be expecting it to do the job of a dedicated 3D application. The second thing which turned up was a thought. I realized I was beginning to stray far from the original intentions of this tutorial series, which was to cover many of the basic things that normally isn't covered in other tutorials about BCC Title Studio. I have decided to get back on track, but not before I look at the importing of 3D objects as promised in episode 10. I'll begin by simplifying my screen environment. Select the Milky Way and delete it. Next, we'll select the green planet and delete it. Remaining is the gold planet in the distance. There are a number of applications dedicated to the creation of 3D objects. The files they output have various suffixes denoting different file types. Boris recommends that we use Maxon Cinema 4D 3D objects. They have the suffix .c4d. However, among the other file types available as 3D objects, I found that .obj and .3ds files also work. In fact, it's quite possible many of the others work too. I don't work with 3D object creation applications, so I searched Google for free download 3D objects, and I found a number of sites from which I could download 3D objects. I'm going to use one of those objects now. Make sure that the 3D render container is selected and that it's on 3D composite, not 2D. Go to Add New Media and choose 3D Model File. I already have a folder with 3D images in my main project folder. And I'm going to choose this one, the Millennium Falcon. I have 2 versions of the Millennium Falcon. There's a .obj file and a .3ds file. The important point for me is that the .3ds file is much smaller and won't tax my PC as much, so I'll use it. Double click. And there it is. Over here I have controls which help me do things like spin, tumble, rotate, and so on. I'll reset the track. Instead of using these controls, I'm going to take a look over here at the toolbox. I'm also going to use split screen, dual horizontal, go back here to the render view, select the Translate Interactor. With it, I can move horizontally, vertically, forwards and backwards on the Z-axis. You can see that happening in the top view. As well as the 3 directions, it's possible to go down between 2 of the interactors, and by selecting the yellow rectangle which appears and dragging, you can move freely, horizontally or vertically, or a combination of both. Now I'll go to the Rotate interactor. I have the blue interactor, which rotates the falcon. I have the red interactor, which tumbles the falcon. And I have the green one, which spins the falcon like this. As with the Translate interactors, if I go between 2 interactors, for example here, the sphere turns yellow, and if I click here, I can move the falcon freely on 2 of the axes. Before continuing, I'm going to go down here to the model, right-click and select Reset Track. I want the falcon to appear from behind the gold planet. I'll change to the Translate interactors, and I'm going to move the falcon behind the gold planet. I want to move this down, so I need to use the hand tool. I could click here on the hand, or I can just click on H on the keyboard. Nothing seems to happen at first, but when I left click with the mouse and begin dragging, the hand appears. I'm quite close behind the gold planet. I'm going to move back even further. I want to come around the side of the planet. I go to the Rotate interactor and I select the green axis and do this. I select the first keyframe on the model's track. As I'm going to be doing tumbling, spinning and rotating, I'll change all of these parameters from constant to linear. I'm also going to be changing positions, so I'll make them all linear too. I move along the timeline a bit, Ctrl N to make a keyframe, choose the Translate interactor and pull the falcon along here. It appears from behind the planet. About there is fine. As it arrives here, I want it to begin turning slowly. Move along the timeline again, Ctrl N to make a keyframe, Translate interactor. As the falcon moves forward, it gets larger and also begins to disappear off the screen. I'll stop there. Next, I'll move further along the timeline, Ctrl N. I go to Rotate, like this. I also want to begin to do this, plus Translate, and move across like this. From here, I'm going to move along the timeline, Ctrl N to make a keyframe. I want to rotate much more now, this direction. I think I'll go back to Translate and move forwards a bit more to here. Then I'll go to the end and completely leave the scene. Switch to single view and play back the action. I found that it was difficult to make smooth movements, and it's going to take a lot more practice. Now, why would I want to make a model of the Millennium Falcon fly out from behind a golden planet if I'm working with titles? Well, what I might do is I might use the scene together with a title. I go to the container folder, add new media, extruded text, Gaijin-Eyes. I'll adjust the text size so that it disappears behind the falcon. It's 60 now. I'll try 40. And I'll move the text down a bit more. Let's make it 36. Because the falcon is at an angle and the text is not, part of the text is behind the falcon and part is in front. To get everything behind the falcon, I'll have to go to the Translate interactor for the text and push it backwards on the Z-axis. If I switch off the visibility for the falcon, I can see the text. If I scrub backwards on the timeline, there I can see the text just appearing. Here it is hidden. With the CTI at this position, I look up here. I see that the CTI is at 8:07 seconds, 8 seconds and 7 frames. I go to the first keyframe on the text track. I want to move the keyframe to 8:07. Go back up here to keyframe time and enter 8:07. The keyframe has now repositioned to here. This means that before 8:07 no text is showing. Now the effect I have looks like this. As I said at the beginning, I've been crawling too far into BCC Title Studio's 3D capabilities. From the next tutorial, I'm going to get back on track. That's all for this one. Now it's up to you to go out there and look for some 3D objects, play around with some of them, see what you can do with them, and I'll see you again in episode number 12. That's all from me. Bye for now.